Afternoon and happy Thursday, everyone. It's digital host AJ Beast welcoming you back to Before the Four, where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 p.m. newscast. Wherever you're watching right now, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, I want to, of course, thank you for tuning in to the webcast and spending just a little of your Thursday afternoon with me. I have some exciting interviews to share with you all today. I literally got the chance to speak with an astronaut today here in the Rocket City, and she was absolutely incredible. And I am so stoked to share that 48 Now interview with you all coming up. Before we head into that interview, let's first jump into some of today's top stories. And starting things off with a very tragic situation, the widow of a Muscle Shoals man, a surgeon removed her husband's liver instead of caused his death on the operation table. According to his attorney, the two left Muscle Shoals last month to full property in Destin, Florida, when William Brian pain in his left side. They went to a St. Heart Emerald Coast Hospital, where he was admitted for his spleen and was recommended to have surgery with Dr. Shegnovsky. According to their attorney, Beverly had to have surgery in Florida and wanted to bring Alabama, but was told he could experience complications. She left the hospital. Beverly says her husband's liver, when it caused his death, in the operating room. It will soon be filed, and there is a possibility of a criminal. According to NBC, the hospital is investigating, and a presser on this tragic situation was released today. Aria Pons will have more coming up in our evening newscast. So let's talk about the weather forecast from 48 First Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. Brad, how is the weather looking out there as we near closer to the weekend?
AJ, the weekend, we've been talking about this weekend, I think it's been about 10 days since it started. It hasn't changed. The only thing that's changing is the Friday forecast, chance of rain. Nothing out there today. This is just some ground clutter, and tomorrow is going to be very, very light. Here's a look at your 3-day forecast tomorrow. One thing that's starting to evolve in the forecast is the potential, maybe a thunderstorm or two along the actual cold front Friday in the morning. 82 Saturday, just fantastic weather, and Sunday. 82 for the high again Sunday. It is going to be increased fire dangers, so keep an eye on those patio fires this weekend. I know you'll be for the morning low Sunday. Here's a look at Friday, hour by hour. We start on 60s. We're going to be in the upper 70s unless we get more right now. That continues to be a far cry. I think most of that's going. But here's what we're watching after 5 o'clock. The chance for some storms potentially here. Again, we've been wrestling with this Friday forecast. Shows some locally heavy rain possible there. And then as we continue, it kind of washes away. And then the north wind takes over 20 miles an hour early Saturday morning, clearing out just 1 o'clock temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. So this weekend, AJ, we've been waiting for this one for a long time. Under out today shows us continuing to dry out. The drought, and it's not going to get any better next week. We don't have any significant chance of rain. All the tropics are very quiet, and that's usually where we get rain this time. You, AJ, you yourself have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Brad. You have a great weekend as well. And I am loving those Saturday chances. Not very many chances for rain on Saturday, like you just said. Definitely planning to go to Toyota Field this weekend to see the Trash Pandas one last time. So thank you, Brad. Now a story in case you missed it. A riot broke out at a youth mental health facility Monday night in Owens Crossroads. 48's Ballinger has the latest on what a troubled youth attorney is now saying about the situation.
A riot started by teen girls who were supposed to be getting mental treatment is the spotlight. The facility, originally known as Sequel, then has had a troubled past, just like the kids they are meant to care for, sending teens who allege severe mistreatment at this facility. It's now.
The problem is the workers at these places, they're not paid enough, so there's constant turnover.
Monday night to a medical call at Pathway when 6 girls incited what police are calling
Fight for a right to occur. I mean, there's not proper supervision, treated like criminals, and after you're being called bad and months and months and months at the facility, they just had enough.
James Henning was beaten by staff at that same facility back in 2020.
I'll guarantee you some of the same employees who had this facility. That's just how it works in this industry.
He says the Department of Children in these facilities needs to take responsibility.
And that's just not houses of horrors, however you want to describe it. We worse than dogs. DHR has got to know about it.
And now in Limestone County, authorities say a man in a drug investigation led to the seizure of a fentanyl. According to the Limestone County Sheriff's Office, SWAT agents executed a search warrant at a Homewood Road in Athens last Friday. During the search, more than 31 grams of fentanyl and 2 handguns. The person living at the home, Ronnie Baker, who you are currently seeing on, was arrested and charged with drug trafficking and a firearm. He was booked into the Limestone County Jail on a $1 million bond. And now heading out to where brush fires are happening more frequently, and the ongoing drought is definitely not helping. Yesterday, 48's Aria Pond spoke with volunteer firefighters in the Waterloo community on the brush fire issue. Take a listen.
Long day, long day.
Waterloo Volunteer Fire Department says a spark can go a long way. Cavish says on Sunday, 12 trucks and 9 stations to contain several grass by one person.
He drove up the Natchez Trace Parkway. He came on County Road 2 here, all the way up to here and here, and then down Waterloo Road all the way to here.
Someone was driving a trailer with blown out tires down the road. The metal sparks to fly and land on the dry grass. Firefighters say people need to understand even the smallest thing can start a fire, from a cigarette being lawnmower hitting a rock.
The ground is so dry, it does hit. Yes, the ground absorbs it, but with the wind blowing, it dries out in a matter of hours. Much to get one started.
Many of the volunteer firefighters in this area are volunteering their time, so these fires are starting to take a toll until the drought is lifted.
It's a situation that affects everyone.
Now a fun story in Huntsville. City officials and today this year's theme for the annual Christmas in Toyland will be held on December 3rd, and it will be hosted by Mix 96.9 and the Von Braun 96.9 program director and host Abby K's team will bring exciting ideas to the parade in Toyland. Huntsville Mayor Tommy Battle said the theme will celebrate imagination. Super exciting, and can you be starting to think about Christmas? And that is just me. But now, I mentioned it earlier, and now it's time. Today for 48 Now, I had the pleasure of speaking with author and former astronaut Jan Davis. She is speaking at an event this Saturday at Ridley Hall about her book titled Airborne: True Generation in Flight. The book touches on the parallels between her father, a B-17 pilot during World War II, and her own career flying space shuttles. Jan also reflected on her own career and touched on some of the influences she had growing up. Take a listen.
Well, unfortunately, when I was growing up, astronauts, nor were there opportunities for women, all military test pilots, and at that time, all the military. So I had already graduated, selected the first women astronauts for the shuttle. I started working for NASA in '79. That included women in 1980. So women were my inspiration. The first 6 that were selected in 1980. That's how I knew it was to become an astronaut and be non-military and have a background in engineering and not. So they really opened the door, NASA, by selecting for people like me to even think about becoming an astronaut. Role models go in the astronaut office. Hubble Space Telescope as an engineer at Marshall Space Flight Center to swim in the water tank we had at Marshall at that time later when the Hubble Space Telescope astronauts for their they test in water when they do their extravehicular activity, when they do their spacewalks. They met and interacted with astronauts, and the same background that I have. He's a mechanical engineer, and he was warm and welcoming and answered all of my many questions. I'm an astronaut, just a super nice guy. We're friends. He really encouraged me and patient on the selection process. So I try to do that, and I know how important that is. I also feel very being a good role model for young women to go into engineering because that's important when you see someone like you think, wow, maybe I could do that, because that's exactly what I did. Astronauts were selected.
Great interview today, and you can watch that full 48 Now interview on our website. Just go to WAFF.com, head to digital shows, and finally 48 Now. And such a great conversation today. She also leads a nonprofit called Astra Femina, dedicated to help and encourage more women in STEM. But super awesome. And speaking of incredible women, the Alabama Women in Jazz Festival is happening at Speakeasy at Straight to Ale this Friday. Yesterday, I spoke with Alabama Women in Jazz Festival founder, Ms. Patrice Evans, who spoke about the wonderful women who have evolved the genre of jazz over the years. Take a listen. So the festival, the Alabama Women in coming to town this Friday. First, what inspired Women in Jazz Festival?
Well, I've been interested in music, myself, but I have to give to a friend of mine who were doing music, year-round. I used to manage a lot, A&R work, and she said, why don't you do the jazz festival? I'm like, so, working with women, and, I've been around it, so that was my try, and voila, here we are, a few years later.
Very awesome. The Alabama Women in Jazz Festival this Friday, you're just not going to want to miss it. And yeah, it sounds like it's a super exciting event. But now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscast. School safety security here in Tennessee Valley. 48's Callie Neese will be bringing you all that story. Another story you're just not going to want to miss, the latest on the AT&T strike. 48's Daquan Lee will be reporting on that story. And finally, an attempted carjacking here in Huntsville. This is a developing story. Just happened about an hour ago. We got reports in from that. But stick around for the latest on that situation coming in our evening cast for these stories you're just not going to want to miss. And now you know what time it is. It is time, of course, for Facebook Fun. Facebook question of the day: what are the things that make people they're not young anymore? Let's see what you all had to say. For me, I think I'm definitely sleeping a lot more than I used to. Without a doubt, I'm definitely getting a lot more rest these days. When I hit the gym, sometimes it lingers a little bit longer than expecting it to. And my girlfriend tells me bald, but I don't think that's true. I still have a full head of hair here, but let's see what to say. Daniel said hearing youngins were not in any dictionary he ever used. Hurting, but don't know what I've done to cause it. Falling asleep accidentally with my day off before the sun rises. Yeah, I 100% feel you on that. Thank you for commenting. And said when you throw out your back while sneezing. Fair enough. Thank you for commenting. And Glenn said bed. Absolutely. Yeah, very good comments there. Thank you for commenting, Glenn. But just about does it for today's Before the Four. I want to thank you all for sticking around and spending a little of your Thursday afternoon with me. Haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 Digital app, the 48 First Alert app, and of course the 48 Sports Zone app. Turn on the push notifications and never miss a breaking story. But with that said, thanks for watching. You all have a great night.